Change. The North End has seen its share. From English colonists to Italian immigrants, big change. It's like they say, the one thing you can count on is change. Pleasure boats crowd out the fishing boats. Tenements become condominiums. But some things don't change. Take the Italian feasts. Oh, sure, they're different now, but they continue. Thanks to a handful of dedicated people, they continue. There's one feast in particular that's special, and this is its story. At the turn of the century, Italian immigrants, like these men from Sciacca, Sicily, formed mutual aid societies, combination insurance agencies, support groups, and social clubs. The Society of the Madonna del Soccorso took care of members' medical needs, provided for burial, and most importantly, ran the annual feast in honor of their patroness. The feast was a tradition dating back to 16th century Italy. But there was a second level of tradition at work here. For generations, the members of this society had been fishermen. Today, Captain Ray Bono is the Grand Marshal of the Fisherman's Feast, one of the last in a long line, determined to continue the tradition.
In my particular family, I'm the only one that's left fishing. They may have been maybe 150 boats years ago. Today, they might be 20. And most of them 150 boats were all more or less family boats. So you were fishing with your cousins, your father, your uncle, your brother, your brother-in-law. Today, you haven't got that. Today, it's just crews. You might have a couple of boats that have a brother on board or something like that. Well, not very many of them are related anymore like there was years ago.
The fishermen didn't have it easy. Atlantic winters were hard, and the good weather was no picnic either. Then and now, these men put their trust in the Madonna. Ray carries a picture of her on board.
The boat was sinking. We were waiting for the Coast Guard to come and get us. We threw the life raft overboard. And as we threw it overboard, it deflated. Now, we were all alone. The closest boat was like 12 miles from us. And I turned to that picture. And I said, save us and the boys, you know, and we got hauled off with the helicopter. That was the most that I really, you know, felt for her at that time.
The descendants of the fishermen have their own reasons for taking part in the feast.
As a kid, I've never missed a feast. Now, granted, you know, my father wasn't a fisherman. My father wasn't even Sicilian. But we were brought up with a tradition, you know, carried over from my mother's family that this was a major event, and we grew up in the feasts. Every year we'd come in and we'd see the feast, and we'd be part of it. Whether we were on a float, whether we were carrying a sheet, we were always part of it, carrying a flag. As soon as you got a little taller and, pestered the committee enough, you'd carry the saint. Joining the society, once we reached 18, that was important, because you're carrying on a tradition. I really didn't get involved personally to the extent like my brother did until my grandmother died. One of her wishes was, that we continue the feast. That was important to her. Her bedroom wall, she'd always had a picture of the Madonna, and with a candle in front of it. She was very devoted. She wanted to see to it that her grandchildren played a role in continuing the society, continuing the feast.
The feast is a 4-day event, and preparation begins far in advance. Permits are obtained at City Hall, decorations put in place, and the statue of the Madonna is readied. She's adorned in gold, given by members of the society in return for blessings.
My favorite part of the feast, and the most sentimental part, and I think I speak for most of the Shakadanis that attend the festival now, is when we take the Madonna out on a Thursday for the blessing of the waters. That's when you'll see everybody's eyes filling up with all the memories of years gone by, and that's the beginning of the procession. And after the Madonna, the statue of the Madonna being cooped up in the La Sala, as we say, which means the hall, after a year being in there and then coming out onto the streets, that's where I think it hits everybody the most. Actually, what we're trying to do is just keep up an old tradition in a new world.
What would a North End feast be without music, tarantellas, marches, hymns? The Roma Band began in 1919, and since then has played at nearly every feast.
Well, the Fisherman feast, in my opinion, it's number one, colorful. It's excitement. Excitement, why? Because they're Sicilians. I'm Sicilian too, and we are excited. Around 1970, I remember, I'm laughing. I was directing the wrong band on North Street. Somebody spot Mr. Fiddler, the late Arthur Fiddler, walking down the street. So they said, "Guy, there's Maestro Arthur Fiddler." I said, "So what?" I said, "No, what do you mean, so what?" I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He says, "Shall I tell him to come up?" I said, "Go ahead, sure." So this musician went down there and he begged him. He says, "I belong to the union, I can't." He said to the music, "Come on now, forget about the union." So he came over and direct a march or two, and they took pictures, and the next day I understand this picture went all over the world, Hawaii, Europe, everywhere. It was a great honor.
Sunday's procession is an all-day affair. The statue of the Madonna is carried through the streets of the North End.
not count my years by New Year. I'm serious. I do not count. You know, my year doesn't end or start a New Year. My year begins and ends in this feast.
We used to look forward to this like other kids would look forward to Christmas. And I remember our parents used to go out a couple months before the feast and buy us all new clothes, new shoes, new slacks, new shirts. We all had to look, you know, perfect for the feast.
The primary purpose of raising money during the feast is to pay for the feast. As far as being money-making, well, unfortunately, you know, that's the one thing that people see. They'll see money coming out of the windows and they'll say, wow, you know, look at all that money. Well, you can get a lot of $1 bills and, you know, stack them up very high and they'll look very impressive. But when you count them and you have bills totaling, you know, anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000, you need a lot of $1 bills to pay for it. If any business was run like the feasts are run, they'd probably go under in a year.
During the summertime, you don't have to be Italian to be Italian. Everybody can come down here and be Italian.
I'm proud to swap my Galway hat to my lovely Italian hat. And God bless everyone.
It's everyday living. It's just that people get together and show their emotions to each other. And they're happy.
Dici, come ti piace la festa?
Very good.
Very good.
Great. I like it.
I go to dance 3 times a week. I'm going to dance all of my life. And so when I'm going to dance, I'm not feeling good. I feel sick. Go to dance, I feel all right.
We used to have relatives here from Italian-American extraction. And so we just come down and bring the kids down and try to keep them in touch with their heritage, basically what it is. When you get out into the suburbs, you get kind of homogenized after a while. And you kind of lose a lot of your ethnic connection, so to speak.
What do you guys think of it?
It's great.
I love it. You like it? What's your favorite part?
Food.
Fried calamari, the onion ring that tastes like a clam. It's delicious. It's nutritious. How many?
Who wants one here? Would you like one?
As a devotion, Eddie Marino walks the procession each year in his stocking feet. He says his faith in the Madonna helped him overcome alcoholism.
I
was on Skid Row and I turned to her. When she was coming out, I stopped in the street and knelt down in front of her. I said, either you make me or you break me. I prayed to her so much that I got my wish.
Eddie here is, I guess you could say, our mascot of the Fisherman's Feast. He is the heart and soul of the feast. He is our inspirational leader, actually. And of course, we're all dedicated, but I don't think there's anyone else who's more emotionally involved with the Blessed Mother and the Feast of Madonna del Soccorso, the Fisherman's Feast, than Eddie right here. Another favorite part of the feast for myself is the angel, what we call the angel ceremony. That's what I think sets the Fisherman's Feast apart from the rest of the festivals in the North End. It's something special to all the Shakadanis.
Nice. Wait a minute. What's the second verse?
Oh, Dad!
No, what's the second verse?
I don't know what the verse is. I just say it.
1, 2. Open like this. Give him a little nudge. Not upside down. Because what happens when they're upside down, the bird will not come out because he has to fly down and under. Okay, plus it's going to be dark out. We get back later and later. When it's dark out, birds don't fly in the dark. They only fly in the daytime. These people can have a spotlight. Will help us. But it should be okay if you just do it that way, okay? Everybody got me?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not really that nervous, but my stomach keeps turning over. It's just, it was hard to learn because of we never learned, we don't even know what we're saying.
Do you have an idea of what you're saying?
No, not really. I know it's a prayer to the saint, though.
It's scary in a way, because there's a lot of people there, and it's probably the first time you've done something with that many people watching you.
Tell us about the fact that you were an angel. Can you describe that as you remember it?
Well, I would say it was the biggest thrill of my life. I don't know how else to describe it, except that I feel it's a big honor, and it's been traditional. My daughter has done it, and my granddaughter has done it. So I have all my relatives, my cousins, and so on.
It's uncomfortable because you're on your stomach and all your weight's on the belts. And when you're hanging there, it's hard to get air to say the speech. And then it's hard to, like I said, the air, you have to really get a lot of air in. And some lines, you have to put all your air into it, and then when you get to your next line, it's pretty hard to say.
The Madonna has arrived, and the angel ceremony begins.
I guess I do the work that I do for this feast because I like to think that somewhere up there in heaven, my grandfather was looking down at me, who was a fisherman and a charter member of the society, and up there he's smiling somewhere and he's proud.